transfer lineup time. Shane, we'll start with the goalkeeper, Orestes Karnazes or Aurelio Gomez. Now, Orestes Karnazes did play against Huddersfield last week. He was probably at fault for the goal. Does he continue on Saturday against Crystal Palace?
For me, no. I think it's time for a bit of a change. Karnazes has done well for us, don't get me wrong, but he just doesn't seem to be as commanding as Gomez is sometimes. I think that experience that Gomez has would have been crucial against Huddersfield, you know, telling his defenders where to go, having them know how to stay back in goal. Karnazes just seemed to get a rush of blood and just seemed to come out thinking that he could be, you know, Superman or something. No, it's not going to work. And you know what? We lost a point because of that. So Gomez comes back in again and hope he can recapture his form in what looks like most likely to be his last season here at the club. Moving on to right back, who would you go for, Nikhil?
I would put, I like that formation of Femenia down the wing and Janmaat in the right back, because I think Janmaat can attack as well. So yeah, I would definitely go with Daryl Janmaat for that one. I mean, I know there's a bit of debate, he's not been the best in the past few games, but I think that formation works, and like I said, he can attack, so you never know, in this game he might run down the channels and also defend well. Right centre back?
Lots of different options in there, but for me, I'm going to go for Craig Cathcart. I think he's looked solid. I think since the guy, and he did, yeah. And I think we've kind of just missed. I think with our centre backs, we've missed the options of having them all available. And this is one of the first. I think Huddersfield's one of the very few games where we had at least 5, or I think 4 or 5 fit centre backs. It would be Cathcart for me. I think it's time for a change personally, like defensively. I think especially with our centre backs, Cathcart is homegrown player. He's looked good. Unlucky with injuries and all that, but I think he's solid than what we've had in there previously.
Great stuff. I say great stuff, it's just good.
Great stuff.
Great stuff.
Great.
I always say that he's called Nikhil Legend as well on text.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it's just nice. Yeah. Right, is that in line? That's perfect, right. Moving on to left centre back, Nikhil.
For left centre back, I would put. It's a bit of a difficult one because I know Kabasele is back in training now, so I don't know whether, I think it's a bit too soon whether he'll start, so I'm going to go for Britos. Yeah, I might go for Britos actually, because he hasn't played and it's a tough call really. I know Prodal's back as well actually, but Prodal's a bit slow, especially against their players, you know. Because Zaha can sometimes go into, even though he's a winger, he can go into the centre of the pitch. So I'm going to go for Britos, and he might be, I don't want him to do all those nasty tackles and get sent off, but that's the type of game where you need a little bit of urgency and firepower about, you know. So it's a tough call, but I'm going to go for Britos.
2 choices at left backs, either Jose Holebas, Ziegler or Adrian Mariappa. Actually 3 choices, or Adrian Mariappa.
Oh God. I don't really know, to be honest. I mean, it's kind of down to like the player that's going to deal with Zaha the best. I don't think any of them are capable of dealing with Zaha the best. They've all got their faults. I mean, they really do. I mean, Holebas can pick a fight with himself at left, you know, in that left side of midfield. Ziegler, I don't know. He reminds me of a donkey every time he moves with the ball. And Maps, well,
just not left back.
Exactly. No, he can't play left back. You know, it's. I think. Look, I'm not keen on all of them, but I think the one that Gracia will choose will be Holebas, because he's the most natural fit out there. I don't want to see him play necessarily, but don't know. He could surprise us with a good game, but that's unlikely, isn't it? So
Didier Ndong for me, because I said in the preview that change it up a little bit, and I would go with Ndong because he's not played, and I just want to see what he's about and stuff. And I don't think. Capu started good at the beginning of the season, but I think now it's just passing sideways, backwards, and I don't feel him. So I think, yeah, Didier Ndong for me.
Abla Doucouré for me. It's an obvious choice, isn't it? I mean, anyone but Capu. But no, look, Doucouré's looked. I think, look, with Doucouré, he's starting to get a little bit of flack maybe for some of his performances. For me, he's been carrying that midfield for so long. He's my vote for player of the season. He's been the most consistent in that midfield area. I think, you know, if it depends on who starts alongside him. I think someone like Capu just makes Doucouré work overtime, because Capu does nothing. But if you have someone new in there like Ndong, then there could be the potential for Doucouré to kind of focus on his own game rather than focusing on his own game and someone else's game as well. But ultimately, we miss Cleverly and Chalobah in that midfield. Two players you look at and think, you know what, there's calmness about them. There's a sense of just getting the job done. I just don't think players like Capoue kind of do that. It's just so lazy, but for me, it's got to be Doucouré in there.
We'll push over to the left flank. Nikhil, who starts on the left, because Richarlison's been on the bench. He did come on against Huddersfield, but who would start for you against Palace?
Well, I mean, you got, like you said, we've got Richarlison, but then you've also got Pereira, who's also been doing quite well in the recent games. I thought he was one of our standout players against Burnley and Bournemouth, especially. But then there is a call for Richarlison because he's done well when he's come off. But I still think, because 4 or 5 weeks ago we were all saying that he's knackered and he needs a rest, and I think I'll still go with Pereira because I think that Richarlison, I don't want him to get that feeling that he can just come in anytime to the team, you know. So go with Pereira, and if we need to change it up, then I'll bring Richarlison on, definitely. But for now, I would start with Roberto Pereira.
Who starts behind the striker, that number 10 role, Shane?
There's only one guy for me, Will Hughes. Has to be, isn't it? I mean, he's hit the ground running since coming back from injury. He looks sharp, energy in abundance. He's got so much skill as well. I think if he can remain fit for the next season, couple of seasons, he can really push and just basically hold down that role. I don't see anyone else really coming in for that position. He's been one of our brightest players since coming back from injury. I know a few fans have called for him to be player of the season. I disagree because he's not played for the whole season, so that's the only reason why. But honestly, he's been a real standout player for us the last few games, especially here at the Vic. We need another commanding performance from him, because I think him in particular will be really crucial to how we set up, and ultimately, if we do go on to get a result, go on to get the win, I'm sure he'll be playing a massive part in that. So it's got to be Will for me.
Nikhil at right mid. We're technically playing a right back, Keith Feminin. Would you continue with him at right midfield?
I mean, I would, yeah. I mean, can't think of anyone else on top of my head good enough, because I think Feminin is really good because he can track back as well, because one of his natural positions is defence, because I know he's played right wing before in his career, but I think he's good at going back and forward and running in the channels. So yeah, Kiko Feminin for me.
Shane's round up the preferred lineup. Who starts up front?
I think, look, for me, and surprise, it's going to be Andre Gray, because I don't see how we're going to get anything if we start Troy up front for this kind of game. Andre, I think, will give us something different, but it's all about whether or not Andre does it himself. He has to make those runs. He has to give Will Hughes those options. It's a bit like the West Brom game here, right? Will Hughes won the ball, but Troy Deeney made the run through the midfield. It's the kind of stuff that we kind of want to see from our strikers. And it's all about if Andre makes those runs, but for me, at the moment, he looks like the only capable striker. Or Kaka can't last half an hour. But with Troy, I just think it's not working out from him. And I would honestly put Troy on the bench, bring him on 17 minutes or so, and play two up top. And one thing I didn't like about Grathia in the last game is bringing on Gray and Sinclair for whatever reason, but he's not putting them up front with anyone. You know, Troy, all right, Troy was poor against Huddersfield. I'm not saying that he wasn't, but give our strikers a chance to play up front with someone. We know the strength of Troy. You know, we've seen it here at the Vic, and I'm sure Burnley fans will go on about how great Andre Gray was in a strike partnership, and we've seen that when he was alongside Sam Vokes. But Grathia just doesn't seem to want to do that. He's very rigid, and he just wants to play one up top. It's actually getting quite annoying now. I can't see him playing two up front for Palace, but I just hope he changes it up if we do need a result.
Don't forget, guys, to leave a like and leave a comment and your preferred lineup in the comments below. The preview will be out later for myself and Shane, and also the preferred lineup. And yeah, check it out.